Hey guys, we're back. T.A. Mahoney, Tales from the Dark Side. And I brought a real winner today. I've told you about my weirdo friends. This guy is close to the top. We had Matt not long ago, and he ranks up there with quite a few weirdos. But Tangles, a.k.a. Tracy, got to be top of the list when it comes to fishing buddies. A little bit of history about me and Tangles. Probably met, how old were we? Would
I
you
don't
say?
know, 6 or 7, 7, 8.
Yeah, 7 or 8, something like that. Our dads were kind of drinking buddies, and that's got to be 48 years ago, 46 years ago, something like that. Been friends ever since. He is one of those guys, and I'm sure he feels the same way. He's one of them guys that you don't really pick. You know, as a kid, you just kind of end up with him. You know, he's my Tangles. I don't know what else to tell you. He's been on the boat. We got some great stories. We're going to share some with you tonight. One of them that he brought up was something a little more recent, which I kind of, Tracy, you're going to have to be in here about 2 or 3 times to even come close to the amount of humor that we get over the last 10 years, 8 years of fishing hard. But you've been on that boat every time. I can't complain.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So what sticks out in your mind? Like when you go fishing with your buddy Mike, what's going on in that peanut?
Well, he's taught me some lessons. I used to like to laugh and have a lot of fun on a boat when I was out there fishing, and I found out right off the bat that's not allowed. Real fishermen don't laugh. They don't really enjoy themselves out loud, and it took a while to learn that one. Mike loves to pick on people, and I guess I'm the easiest softball he's ever had on a boat. But I love it. I remember him when I used to pick on him, and it was a long time ago, but I can't wait for it to happen again.
I hope it never does again. He had his chance, people. I was younger than him.
He will never miss a chance to pick on you or
he had the
embarrass
upper
you.
hand. One of the things about Tracy that stands out in my mind, one of the things we did as kids is, Little League Baseball. It was a great time to hang out and meet new people and friends and people in the neighborhood. And of course, Tracy was a pretty good baseball player. So that's kind of where we started. I think our parents probably met somewhere around that time. We were playing baseball, but I'll tell you what, you did not want to bat against Tracy. There was no way. Tangles would look at you and tell you, 10 years old, he'd tell you, I'm going to hit you with the ball. How about it?
I used to love baseball, and yes, I would do that. And I didn't think there was nothing wrong. A little stingy spot on your shoulder or something like that.
He would literally, people, we'd be in junior high school, and he'd walk up to the kids that were playing us that night, and he would say, hey, I'm pitching against y'all tonight. Be ready. It's going to hurt. And then he'd walk away, and I'm telling you, the kid would not want to get in the batter's box.
I didn't have a curveball.
No, he had a wild pitch is what he had. He didn't know where it was going. The catcher would give him a sign, and he'd kind of shrug his shoulders. Okay, we'll see what we can do with that one.
Right down the old middle.
But had a lot of good times at baseball, and then we probably, and a few years later, we kind of went on our own path and then got back together probably about 8 years ago and started doing a lot of fishing with Tracy. One thing about Tangles is, he needs to learn a lot, I guess you could say. So every day's a teaching day for him. And what he's talking about, no humor. One of the first days on the boat, I remember it. It was, 4 o'clock in the morning, and he's like a kid before Christmas, and he comes running down, jumps in the boat. He's all asking questions. How long is it going to be? Where are we going? And realistically, I'm thinking if I showed him on the chart, he still wouldn't know where we're going. He's there for the ride. So we went on out there, and I finally told him, hey, get the smile off your face, Tangles. This ain't about being happy and fun and playing around. We're catching fish today. And he shortly realized that that's what we do out there, catch fish, huh?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I was on a boat. I'd have the rod in my hand. I'd be, oh, I think I got a bite. Oh, there's one coming. Everybody ready? And I wanted everybody to watch me miss the fish every time. And
why don't you tell us how you hooked all 5 people at one time on the boat? Can you do that?
Well, why don't you tell that story?
No, I'd rather hear it from you. I'd rather hear your view of it. What exactly happened? Because within a day, 1 or 2 trips, Tracy earned where?
The nickname.
No, the only place you could go, I had to draw a line on the boat.
I fished on the front of the boat.
Yeah, he had to be in front of the console because he had already tangled so many people. So now, multiple rods up in the nose of the boat. And tell us what happened that day.
We went and set up on a spot, and they put a free line out, and automatically I had a bottom jig, a nice heavy one. I'm jigging down there, and it wasn't right off the bat. Tuna hit the rod and stripped it out, and of course everybody's watching it. And the first thing Mike hollers, "Somebody's line's on my line." I had a green jig, and I just didn't want that to be mine as he pulled up. And it was. I told his son, he was right next to me. I said, I didn't want to see that.
He was trying, got a tuna on, and all of a sudden I go, oh, there's something on the line. I see it coming up with the line, and it's Tangles green jig.
How in the world
and he's standing there kind of looking at me, waiting for it, seeing if it's fixing to happen.
Yeah.
We caught the fish, though.
I don't know. I thought that one got away.
No, that was the one in Louisiana when you hooked my line on the big yellowfin.
Oh, yeah.
That was even better.
Too much line.
Yeah, had front of the boat, open bail, 3/8 weight, and we're tuna fishing in the back. So the line's just constantly with the current going around. I think you hooked 5 people one time.
I had a lot to learn. Yes, I did. I remember.
Likes making dream catchers. You ever seen a dream catcher? That's Tangles. That's why we named him Tangles. He pulls his line up, and it's like a big dream catcher.
I've done a lot of stuff wrong. My favorite ones, we're trolling for gag grouper, and you have a level line reel. And as you hook the fish, they're always, oh, keep that line level, keep that line level. Well, of course, I got one that got stuck. He had too much line on the reel, and when I didn't keep it level, it kind of...
I had too much line on the reel. He didn't guide the line. It all bound up. How'd that go? Did we catch a fish?
No, we lost that one, too.
We lost that one.
I got it stuck. Too much line in one spot. I've learned the lessons the hard way. I don't do that every time anymore.
You know, you got to watch it when you're with Tangles. There was a time, this is a long time ago, so once again, I'm going to warn you, this is not an omission of guilt or nothing else, but we were out there fishing, and we had a real good day right off the bat. I think within 2 hours we had close to our limit of gags, or maybe we did have our limit. And Tangles kind of suggested to me, well, it's early enough to where if you go in now and maybe eat a sandwich and put these in another cooler, we could possibly go back out and get another limit because it's past noon. That's what he said. So from what his days and what he claims he would tell the Marine Patrol is that my days start at noon. We were out before noon. That was yesterday. I know y'all changed clocks and all that. That's what he told me. But we don't do that. So we were allowed to go back out there again if there was any problems. Of course, we didn't go back out there. We started to go back out there, and what happened?
They were checking for bombs out there off Anna Maria, and we ran into the police department and changed it up. But,
hey, now let me tell you this. We're driving, and the blue lights came on, and what did Tracy do?
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
He went, uh-oh, and I go, uh-oh, what? And he goes, uh-oh, and I go, we haven't done anything. And he goes, uh-oh, they're coming. And I'm going, what are you upset? What are you going to do? Tell them we thought about going back out there? Maybe we could get in trouble. That sounds like fun. What was the deal there?
They just wanted to keep us off that area, but I didn't want to get in trouble. I've never liked getting in trouble with you.
I'd like to talk a little bit about, once you said trouble, made me think of Anna Maria and the fishing license story. Let's hear about this.
Yeah, I was born in Florida, Miami. I've lived here my whole life, so I'm pretty much like a native, kind of like an Indian, American Indian. So I think I got certain rights. Like, I haven't had a fishing license for years.
And I didn't know that.
Nobody knew it. Nobody ever asked me. I had one for Louisiana because they asked me there, and I got one there. But I hadn't had one for years. And wasn't that long ago, I was fishing off a pier, and I guess I parked my truck in the wrong spot. There's a spot that says, don't park here, and you can park here. Well, I split it with my truck, so I'm kind of half good and half not good.
The gray area.
I'm looking off the bridge, and I see these 2 cops roll up in this kind of dune buggy, and they get out, and they start chasing up and down the beach with their flashlights. I'm thinking maybe somebody's run off and done something wrong. Well, they were looking for me because you're not allowed to park on the beach after 11 at night.
And how'd they know it was you?
Well, they finally saw me over there on the bridge and
Yeah,
eased
but
on
do they
over.
know you down there?
Not at that time.
But they do now?
Yes, they do now. Matter of fact, they ride their bikes by and say, "There's your buddy right there." I can hear it with the window down.
All right, so they checked you for a license?
Yes, they did. And I had somehow got a ticket earlier for some kind of illegal redfish out of season, something I wasn't aware of, from the red tide. And then they said, "Well, you don't have a license." And I said,
That
"Well,
was the day before.
well, that was sometime within that short period. I'd gotten a ticket for something that was just
Okay, so he was out. Let's hear that one. You were out there and you caught a redfish and thought it was legal?
Well, yeah, they had the red tide, and I knew that the snook was out of season because they just put a moratorium on them. And I was down there fishing. I was breaking off on snook 1, 2, 3. It was cold, so I'd run back to the truck, tie my line. I'm nervous because you break off on a fish. You want to get out there and tear it up again. I got back there and finally got a fish up, and it was a redfish. I said, "Man, I haven't seen a redfish around here in a long time." They said it was a little short, maybe, but no, but I didn't even think about that. I thought I had seen a red, and it was time to eat. I could eat something. I knew I couldn't take the snook home, and I threw it in the back of the truck, and I went over there and broke off again. I'm back there tying again. It's cold, and the ladies.
There was a lady.
Yeah, game
fish
warden.
cop?
They've got lady game wardens now. Very nice. And she asked me if I'd caught anything. I said, "No, I'm really trying." And I said, "Well, I do. I got a little redfish right there." And
So you told her you had the redfish. She didn't see it?
well, I think it might have flopped around and made a little noise. It got her attention somehow. Got my attention because I had forgotten about it. And come to find out, it really wasn't what you thought it was. It was probably, once the I threw it was 18 inches was the size it was supposed to be. And it really was. It was right there at 18, 16 or something like that. And we went and released it because it was out of season. She goes, "That's out of season." I'm like, "Man, they don't have no seasonal redfish."
She didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that. I thought,
Oh.
but since the red tide had, wiped everything out, the redfish, trout, you really can't keep anything. And so I got a ticket. She ended up giving me a ticket for a redfish out of season, which I was gladly going to accept that
How
one.
much was that one?
That was $270-something, $273.
Well, that was worth it, huh?
Well, if they had said it was $500, said it wouldn't go on my record, I'd have probably paid it because I didn't want nobody to know about it. Because poaching's not cool anymore.
Yeah,
Used
that was
to-
a while ago, though.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then what happened, like within a day or two later, they catch you again in a no parking spot? Same?
No, they start seeing on the bridge. There's a small little island. They go by and they're waving at me, and I'm waving back, and then they're pulling over. "You get your fishing license yet?" And I said, "No, sir, I don't have it yet, but I intend to get it."
Well, I thought what you had told them was there's no way that you didn't have one because she would have wrote you a ticket the day before and she only gave you one for a redfish.
That's right. I thought.
Or if I really didn't have a license, that she'd have given me one for no license, too.
That's right, exactly. So I must have been legal 2 days ago, so I should be legal now, and that wasn't good enough for them. They wanted some kind of proof or receipt of the license. But those guys aren't stupid. They catch on pretty quick.
So you went and got a license?
No, not really. I tried
Did
it
you
again a
go
couple more
fishing
times.
again after they talked to you?
Well, I had to wait until they threatened to put me in jail.
So they talked to you more than twice?
They started coming up with the lights on. They just even start them at the corner, easing on up, have a light, they'd come over here and do this. And when I got it, I showed it to him proudly. I said, "Here it is."
Well, what he told me was he got his license finally after 3 or 4 days, and he had some excuse, didn't you, when they said, "Why didn't you get one yesterday when you said you were?" And I got a return I got to give to Amazon, so it was either get my license or get the return. Which one would you do?
He was starting to get insulted by my lack of
Yeah,
enthusiasm about getting a license.
Anybody ever been down there with a little bit of law enforcement on Anna Maria? It's not the people you play games with.
Yeah, he thought I was playing for stupid. And I
Now, Tangles, every police officer, law enforcement in Anna Maria, Holmes Beach, knows him. They see him coming in.
said, "Yes, they do."
Hard to tell. That
Yeah.
guy who parks right there on the line, the handicap line. You're the guy, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a small place down there. I
So
love
you
it.
got your license,
Mhm.
and then they wouldn't come over. They wouldn't talk to him. And he was like mad. He was calling me, saying they won't even stop and check me now. I got my license, and I can't even show it to them. Well, they probably done run your name and know you got a license.
I think they're waiting for it. I'm not paying attention. Going to sneak up on me or something.
And, you know,
like
we
that.
laugh about it, and I'm all for conservation. I laugh at Tangles sometimes, but, you know, the bottom line is passion to fish is why I hang out with him. We'll go offshore 12, 14 hours sometimes. Tangles is right there helping us out, cleaning the boat. He's not in a hurry to leave. All he cares about is going down to the pier and going snook fishing that night. and that's what he does. He loves to fish. We always have. We were kids. We'd fish in a pond, catch brim, whatever it was. And we got quite a few good stories for you. I couldn't fill them up, I guarantee you, in one show. Tangles is a handful, from losing ropes to getting a fight started and running from it. You know how many of them I've dealt with, huh?
Yeah, if they don't turn their head, I don't stand a chance.
No, he ain't staying around. He's got some good ones, and we're going to share them. He's the one that taught me how to throw oranges at cars. You imagine that? I hope no kids are watching.
Yeah.
But, boy, he could wear them out. Matter of fact, tell them the one story. We had the baseball party at the house.
Oh, yeah, we had a baseball team that was doing pretty good. We were like 14 and 15, and the parents were all pretty much friends, so they were having a party inside, probably getting a little bit relaxed. And
not paying attention to the kids.
And we have
They're good boys, baseball players.
Yeah, we have a baseball team out front. And back then, Brandon was all orange groves. They were everywhere. And, of course, it wasn't long before a car comes pulling up and hollering, hey, hey, causing a scene. And then parents come out with a couple of drinks in them, I'm sure. And they said, somebody's throwing oranges at our cars. And the parents couldn't believe it, that this baseball team would throw oranges at a car.
No,
so
we got good boys
they
here.
run them off. And
we got a baseball team.
We continued throwing oranges the rest of the night. We love that.
That was something. Good old stories from the old days. I appreciate y'all listening in tonight. We're going to take a little bit of break, and we'll be right back. We're back talking fishing, talking hunting. T.A. Mahoney, Tales from the Dark Side. And one of the darkest, Tangles. I brought him tonight. Don't know if I can get him back next week. He may get a scholarship or something, like, you know, may get a scholarship and get a meal plan and lodging and all that. We just got to wait for him. Maybe Frank Cueto could help us out with Cueto bail bonds. But what I want to ask you, Tracy, is let people know what it's like on a fishing day that we go out on. For a guy, I mean, I can explain it, but it's a little bit different, my perspective.
Well, there's a lot of excitement building up. You know, you're going to bring in the big fish in and going out with Mike Mahoney, of course, the legend. Of course, you're going to be on them. And for anybody who doesn't know, Mike is a practical joker. He loves to dish it out. He does not take it very well. But he
now,
will.
Why would you say I don't take it well? Just because I come back a little bit stronger than what you give?
Well, yeah.
That's kind of to shut it down.
You know, let's put it this way. If we're riding out and he's pulling the hair on the back of my legs, he'll do it all day long. If I get in the back of the boat and pull one of his hairs out, he jumps up. He got my hairs on my leg, runs up, get him an alcohol swipe and wipe it clean and look for a Band-Aid so he don't get another hair pulled. And it's just a lot of hassle to pick on him because he just doesn't take it well. He doesn't take it well at all.
You know, one of the funniest times we got a friend of ours, Captain Mark Feewox, and we've been out fishing with him a few times since I sold the boat.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the first times, it had to be 4:30 or 5 in the morning, and we were running out first thing. And I think I might have accidentally spilled some water in your shoe or something at 4:30 in the morning that you wouldn't really appreciate. And first thing Tangles does is looks over at Mark and goes, can you let him drive at least one of the ways there or back to occupy his time? Because this seems like it's going to be a long day.
Yeah.
Was that a long day?
I've had people wonder how in the hell I take that, how I can put up with all the mess you
people
give
ask
me.
you that?
Yeah, they do.
What do you tell them?
Oh, you got to do what you can do. I love to fish, but as soon as I stop liking to fish, I'll get him back, and then we'll be even there.
So you love to fish. What is one of the most memorable fishing trips you've been on?
Getting bait when you had me cut my finger off.
What happened?
Well, we was loading pinfish traps, and Mike likes to keep me nervous and, you know, going and hurry. So I'm trying to make Mike happy, which is impossible. And we had some frozen bait, and I had a dull dive knife, and I'm cutting it there. He's leaving the thing. I'm taking the waves and trying to put the bait in the traps, and finally he sees that I'm having a hard time, so he cuts the throttle back and lets me go back there and chop away at the bait. And the first thing he says is, be careful with that knife. I said, yeah, I got it, Mike. We'll be fine.
Okay.
And about that time, I took it to the bone. I couldn't even say ow because he just told me that watch out for the knife. So I stuck it in the water, shook it off. It's never had feeling ever since. But I did go fishing the next day. No doctor, no stitches or nothing.
That's a good one, Tangles. Let me tell you my take on this one. Okay, we're going out to set traps. We got frozen kingfish, like what was left over after we took the loins out, which is a great pinfish. It was not crab traps, it was pinfish. So we had a frozen block of kingfish scraps that are oily, and we want to put them in the pinfish traps. Well, he's back there sawing, and I tell him, you're going to cut your hand off doing that. Do it away from you. I've been doing this all my life, is what he said.
Yeah.
I've been cutting bait all my life. You know, you don't need to tell me how to cut bait.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, that's exactly what he did.
He couldn't say a word.
And he was holding his hand. I heard the knife drop, and he was still awake, so I knew it wasn't that bad. He didn't pass out on me, but I did kind of give him a little booster of morale. I told him, if you make me run this boat in to take you to the doctor to get stitched up, you ain't fishing tomorrow.
Nope.
We didn't go get stitches.
Nope.
Duct tape and a napkin.
It's still numb.
He was good as gold. But I'll tell you another one he did with frozen. I was over his house one day. He's got a big pile of frozen shrimp,
yes,
and he's doing this, crushing them and putting them on. All them little tips of the shrimp went in his fingertips. Months of infection, can't use his fingers, and still fishing.
Yeah, I like the loss of my hand on that one. I didn't realize that when you break those frozen shrimp, that those points and what are they called? The horns on the shrimp. As I was breaking them,
Called stupid.
they were sticking in my finger. Mike's like, "Doesn't that hurt?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but you got to be tough to do this." Well, I didn't realize they were still in my hand. And I was walking through a store one day and hit my hand on the side of my britches and fell flat on the floor. I said, "Something happened to my hands. I almost got electrocuted." I went to a bait shop and they had a jeweler's loop, and I looked at my fingers. It looked like Mars.
So he pulled the thorns out at the bait store.
No, I couldn't get them all
That
out.
was good and
I took
healthy.
some fingernail clippers and cut the first layer of skin out to get them all out. Well, I didn't realize they were that long, so what I did was just cut them in half. So I had, I don't know how many dozens
That
and
was a
dozens.
4-month ordeal.
Yeah, that hurt. I couldn't even work
Baby
my own,
had tape on every finger every time he did something.
couldn't even
Painting,
work my own
fishing.
zipper.
No,
Poor me.
had to walk around with it down because nobody else was working it either.
Oh, that was
That's
bad.
for sure.
was-
What's your biggest fish you caught with me, Tracy? What's the one that sticks out the most?
I remember the whale shark swam up to the boat. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was
We
awesome.
saw it coming. It was a clear day, crystal clear. Thank God Brett Norris had a GoPro.
Yep.
He actually stuck it in the water and was filming the, swim around the boat. He had some cobia on it, and I think
We
tuna.
caught a big cobia.
Yeah.
Brett did, yeah.
Me and Mike, being the adventurers we were slitting right in the middle of the boat. We wouldn't even
Yeah.
get near the side of it. We were right near the middle of the boat, getting a good view of it right there.
Yeah, I could see it fine. My buddy asked me, "You didn't want to jump in the water?" I go, "It was the last thing I was thinking of." It had to be 30 foot long, huh?
It was as long as the boat, easy.
Looked like a submarine when it came up the anchor line. I
Beautiful.
remember Tangles going, you said something, you wasn't the uh-oh when the cops are coming. It was it was something like, "Oh my gosh, look at this." And I'm thinking he cut himself because you were on the front of the boat with the knife again. And I look up, and this monster, if anybody's ever seen one, it's an awesome sight. Whale shark, and he came right into the boat like it was tame. It circled the boat 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Brett Norris had some killer footage. I mean, less than probably about where we are, 7 feet away. I mean, he was right next to the boat. He went around it twice and went on off. And I think right after that, Brett caught about a 40-something pound cobia.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it was a good trip.
It was kind of spiritual. It was pretty neat to see something that big and majestic with other fish on it, and just. But it scared us. Actually, is what it did. You were sitting in the middle. If you could hear the video of what Brett's GoPro did, we were cussing too. We were close
Yeah.
enough, and
Yeah, it was something to see for sure. It was big.
It
How
must
about a
have
fish you caught?
Huh.
What sticks out?
I get big red snapper from time to time.
I
Out of
always
season.
think of that one that was got his tail bit off.
Oh, that was cool. That was real cool.
He was 21 pounds. Tangles caught. He don't usually contribute too much to the box. I mean, he's there to help out and he's part of the trip, but he's very few times is he putting a bunch of meat in the box.
That's true.
Because if there was a bunch of meat in the box from Tangles, there'd be a ton of drama, and it'd take up more than a day of fishing is the problem. But when he'll contribute some, and he loses most of them, and he brings rods on the boat, the same rods he brings every time. There's 3 rods he brings. They don't have any line on them. So it looks like he's bringing his own poles, constantly grabbing mine. Now, mine are all strung up and ready to go. All of a sudden, he's broke off twice. You go to grab one because maybe you break off, and he's done used 4 of yours, broke off, and set them right back in. That's my fishing buddy Tangles.
Go
here.
through that line. Go through that line. You own a marine hardware store. No better place
We got
to.
all kinds of line over here.
Yeah, we
huh?
do. That's right.
How about Louisiana? You've had some fun there too.
That's
huh?
a blast. That place is unreal.
Yellowfin tuna.
Yeah.
We caught it all there.
Yeah, my first trip up there, we caught everything. Big dolphin. Everybody got a yellowfin tuna. Mangrove snapper, bigger than I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a great trip, man. We really set them on fire.
I had a 2-pounder at the house on the dock and thought he was a monster. I came back from there thinking he wasn't even bait.
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
And it's hard to tell people exactly how good Louisiana is until you get there. It's kind of like alligator hunting. I tell people that all the time. I can explain to you till I'm blue in the face about how fun alligator hunting is and how exciting it is. But I'll never touch how it really is until you go. And it's the same way with Venice. When you hear about big fish, you just have no idea of the amount of fish and the size of fish. And Tangles here has been quite a few times and got to see that firsthand. I've been going for many years, and I really enjoy taking people, being friends with Tangles as long as I have. I enjoy taking him there and sharing something there with him. Now, you can't really go out nowhere with him. I've known him for this many years, but we don't have a lot of dinners together. I guess we do sometimes when we come in from bet you love that because I'm always hungry. We come in from fishing, starving, got the boat cleaned, and he knows it's time for a free meal.
Yeah, free meal. It's the best time of the day.
I'd sometimes let him order off the regular menu, but it's mainly the kids' menu when we go and get it to go, and I get him to sit in the truck while I sit inside and eat, just so we don't have any.
Everybody's always amazed how calm and easy you are at dinner. You might pick on them all day in the boat, but you get at dinner, you're really well behaved. You want to eat a
There's
good meal
people around
and not
I
be
don't
stared
know.
at. Yeah, don't stare at me.
No, can't have none of that. I eat by myself. I don't care.
Yeah.
But enjoyed a lot of fishing with you. You hadn't done a lot of hunting with us. I took him up to the hunting camp to do some work, and he spray painted all inside my stands, and he thought it was big fun, time to get back at Mike because he doesn't get to fish when I'm up there hunting. And that's usually for about 3 months, isn't it? I kind of stopped the whole fishing scene, so he gives me little memorabilia from him. Spells stuff wrong, and you're in the stand going, what was he thinking?
I spell my own name wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
We were up there, and Eddie was putting the stands together, and Eddie was up there, and he was going to show us how to do it. And he grabs a screwdriver, and he turned his back, and as he turned back around, a piece of corrugated metal comes falling down. And it literally touched him, but he thought he had taken his whole shin off, so he's up and
remember that?
That was so funny. He thought he was jumping up and down. He thought he had lost his shin to the bone.
You know what me and Tangles did? It was almost like a little kid. So if anybody's dealt with little kids, when a little kid falls and he's not hurt, you don't want him to cry, so don't look. Look the other way. Well, that's kind of what we did to Eddie. Because Eddie's full of drama, isn't he?
Oh, he really is.
He's got all kinds of. His hands are in his pockets. Every picture I got of him, he's, like he said, holding a screwdriver. He's going to hand it to you. He don't plan on turning it. He's just going to hand it to you and put his hand back in his pocket.
Yeah, he's jumping up and down like he's really hurt, and we thought he was maybe because I don't see how he didn't get lose his shin.
I don't even know if it didn't even break the skin.
No, and we started noticing that there really wasn't even any blood. It was just a red spot. I mean, he got so lucky. It would have been like a razor to taking him anything that hit him. He's jumping up and down, and we noticed it's not even bleeding. We said, Eddie, you're not even hurt. Stop jumping up and down.
Mad.
He says, I'm hurt. And I'm like, you almost was hurt, but you are not hurt.
Oh, yeah. It was time to stop work, have to go clean it up, peroxide, Band-Aid. He was just mad we didn't even think nothing of it.
It scared him, I think, is what it did.
Big old boy, too. And a little piece of metal hit him on the shin.
Eddie, easy. He's not even going to bleed.
We've got some good ones. Eddie was in here He was in here doing one with me he's in the same boat as you. We could talk forever and ever and ever. You were on the boat when Eddie almost fell out, weren't you?
Oh, amazing. Yes, I was down in off Boca.
Yeah, what happened? He had his old wore-out Crocs.
Yeah,
He wears Crocs till he gets his money. The problem with his Crocs are, Eddie buys a pair of shoes, and Tangles was on the boat. He saw it. Crocs wear out quick, especially with Eddie, because the tops are still good. It's the bottoms. He doesn't pick his feet up. He shuffles everywhere, so they get wore out twice as fast. Jump on a boat, they're slick now. But he doesn't think that, and he about went out, didn't he?
Yeah, he was. He had his feet over his head. I don't know how he came back in. Must have waved. Must have hit the boat just right, and knocked him back in. I hauled man overboard. Last I saw, he was in the drink.
If you've ever been sideways in a trough with some good size forward it was probably 4-footers, wasn't it?
Yeah, it turned pretty rough here pretty
Yeah,
quick.
it was probably 4 foot, and we were turning, and the boat pitched, and got his weight. Because Eddie's got a little weight, you can shift it on him because there's quite a bit there. It threw him out, but then caught it when it came back over. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Never even went in the water.
I don't know how he did that one. He was in the drink last time I saw.
Now, it just flashed to me another story about Tangles. I'm with Eddie. I'd taken Tangles to my favorite snook hole in the summer. You remember that?
Yes, I always remember that. Great trip.
Yeah, caught a bunch of fish. Where were you the next night?
I was there. I was wade fishing it. Well, the trip was that we got there and you guys immediately started hitting these snook left after right. And we had some big baits, big shad, and it was about y'all had probably boated 20 fish apiece before I got really good bites. By the time the live bait was gone, I still hadn't put a fish in a boat. Now they've boated 40 within an hour. I've never seen so many big fish come over the side, and I'm getting a little nervous that I might not get one somehow. And the last live bait in the well, I went to get it. He wouldn't let me have it. He decided I wasn't worth the last live bait.
I'm getting that.
So I got a dead bait, and I started catching a couple of them.
We learned a lesson on that. What happened?
Big snook like dead bait.
I threw my live bait out. He threw that dead shad out. We caught the shad at the Blinds Pass Bridge, and we were this is before they dredged.
Yeah.
Blinds Pass, and we went up there to catch those big snook in the summer that were there.
They were fun.
And we were catching the shad. Well, you always think as a snook fisherman, live bait, live bait, live bait. So there was, like Tangle said, there was 2 baits left. One was dead, one was live. And
being my first trip there, I got the dead one, which was pretty nice of him.
Yeah, I hooked him up with the dead one. I'm telling you, boom, my live one hit. He threw the dead one out. He was instantly on. And from that moment on, we realized that why even throw the cast net? We'll go buy shad, frozen shad. That's what they want, dead on the bottom. You know, the big snook love that stuff. So we started. Of course, I couldn't go every night, but I went the next day or two.
Yep.
And usually nobody's out there on the beach. It's nighttime during the week. Nobody's out there fishing. You may have some people on the rocks. They used to walk out on the rocks, but it really didn't affect what we were doing because we'd go around them over kind of close to the swim buoys. Sometimes maybe be just inside the swim buoys.
You could throw a bait in their boat if you wanted to. You just as soon wade fish that area.
Yeah. Well, the problem is it's a private beach, so you can't just walk up there. Well, that night I see 2 guys fishing the same area we're fishing, and I'm thinking, who in the world's up there throwing for snook here? Usually they're on the rocks or they're not there. Well, Tangles is over there telling his buddy, don't say my name.
Don't mention my name. Don't say my name.
Stand still. So, and he was with a guy that worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he works for Power Pole, Mike Schmidt. Great guy. Grew up with him too, one of our friends from back in the day. And Mike came in bragging the next day. Here at the store, he came in, had a picture, and it was at night. And I could tell he was on the beach because his snook was covered in white sand.
Yeah.
And I looked down at it, and I'm thinking, where'd you catch that? Oh, I was in Blinds Pass. I go, when? He goes, last night. Tangles took me there. I go, Tangles took you there? That was y'all on the beach? Yeah, he told me to be quiet so you wouldn't hear him. I go, oh, okay. So Outlaw Tangles is buying frozen shad, jumping the fence at the condo at night and run. Is that what happened?
That's exactly what happened.
She had to jump a fence.
Well, Schmitty didn't want to break the law, so he attempted to go around the jetty, which is almost impossible. I don't know if you see how deep it gets around those jetties. So after a couple efforts to do the legal way, he decided to jump a fence with me, and he's glad he did.
Was it a big fence?
No, a little fence, big sign. Little fence, big sign.
Little fence, big sign. And y'all went out there. How often did you go? You took a vacation.
I went.
That year.
Yeah, I did. I went every
Matter
chance
of fact,
I got.
That's exactly what happened. It was 2 weeks later. He did the family vacation.
Right
Where
there.
at? Blinds Pass.
Right there.
Why
Beautiful
not?
place. Great fishing hole. You got to admit, it was a really good fishing hole.
You didn't hustle none of them back to the hotel, did you, back then?
I tell you what, I was an Indian, native Indian, born in Florida. All those laws really don't apply to us. It's kind of like,
This
you know,
is entertainment, just to let you know.
And I don't know if y'all have ever had a big snook. It's very good. And I would probably have thrown that fish back, but I didn't probably.
You know what's funny is I take Tangles out sometimes, and he'll always ask. It doesn't matter what size, anything. He always asks, can we take this one back? And I go, no, we're not going to take that back. It's illegal.
And the captain had priors. Remember that Captain David had priors?
Yeah, that was one of the excuses I told you. The captain had priors. He can't afford to get caught twice. That's what I told him. Just anything to get him off of keeping illegal fish.
It's hard to throw back a big fish. It really is.
And I told him one day, I said, you know what? You catch a world record of anything, and we'll take it back and be proud of it. I don't care if it's in season or out of season, because there can't be a judge around. If you catch a 100-pound snook, he's coming back, and I'm showing him off till they come get me. And you know what? We go to court. Hopefully the judge is a fisherman and goes, what? 100-pound snook? You're out of here. You're good. Give him his snook back. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. Of course, we all know that's probably not the truth. But remember, entertainment. We're not telling on ourselves. We're just telling stories. Some of the stuff, yeah, it could have happened a little bit like that, but probably not what it appears to be. But just a little bit of humor in some of the people I fish with and hang out with. And what are some of the areas you fished around here, Florida, Tracy?
Blind Pass.
No, I'm saying like your whole fishing career. You were telling me where Flamingo you've been.
I've been to Flamingo with some friends. Yeah, that's a great place to fish. In Tampa Bay, you know, just I learned like everybody else. I used to fish with the metal leaders with the weight on it and thought I knew everything and worked my way up to, you know, mono on regular line, and took about 2 years to learn how to tie that knot so I wouldn't lose every big fish. But just, you know, I just like to fish. I didn't know much about. I've learned from being around you guys. There is a degree of fishermen. There's fishermen who fish, and there's fishermen that catch a little fish. Then you get around guys who know what they're doing, and they can just catch more fish. They could use your pole and your hole and catch the fish and whatever, like Captain Mark over there.
Oh yeah,
and
Tommy, all them guys are good. You see the difference definitely in them.
And you have to be around them. I try to explain to people how they're not as, you know, they're not the quality fishermen. There's some people out there better, and they don't understand it. You got to be around one and to see how good they are.
Yeah.
To see exactly what's going on there.
An eye opener for sure. Somebody who does it every day, I got a lot of respect for. That's for sure.
To ride in those boats, take that beating every day. Ooh,
yeah,
that's tough.
That's a tough one, man. Where your father grew up? Where's his family from?
Georgia and Green Cove Springs, North Florida, up there, St. John's River and things like that.
So you got some history here in Florida. You know, something else that's amazing. One of the first charter captains I ever fished with, probably one of the best fishermen I've ever fished with, is Captain Ernie Saunders from down in the Keys. He was one of my dad's friends. He met him. That's Tracy's uncle. And I didn't really know this, but you said that he was actually he retired from the Air Force, right?
No, retired from the Navy down there in Key West, second in command of the Navy base on Key West, and he loved to do the fishing, so retired there. Lived on Key West and fished out of Stock Island, which was Boog Powell Marina at the time, the old baseball player.
I remember that.
And I remember having dinner with him, you know, catch of the day, and people like Red Auerbach would be in the restaurant, and they all knew who he was and gave him respect. Captain Ernie. But such a calm dude. And your dad was one of his best friends at the end of it.
He loved him, that's for sure. And he signed, didn't they sign a treaty? He was part of that?
Oh, yeah. He was a commander on the ships in World War II, and he was on the Missouri when they signed a treaty with the Japanese. So he was very successful in the Navy, and he was, you know, commanded I guess not a battleship, but a destroyer. I mean, he was a big player in the
guy.
thing.
I'm just happy to be able to fish with him. He's probably one of the best fishermen I've ever been around. My first tarp, and I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, and I don't know. Ernie would never go and target a certain fish, it seemed like. It would be a group of fish. Like, you may catch mango snapper, a grouper, and yellowtail, and something else all in the same spot. But I'd caught a tarpon. It was my first tarpon I ever caught with him, probably about 90 pounds on a pinfish right there in the harbor at Key West. Didn't have to go far. I think he had an old Pinyan boat, didn't he?
It never was pretty. He had a boat that had a
Straight
tunnel
inboard.
drive or something
Yeah, it
like
was
that.
Pinyan Tuttle Drive, and he really knew his area. First class guy, calm as could be. I can remember fishing with him sometimes, and we'd tear the fish up maybe at one spot, and he'd say, okay, let's go to another spot, and we maybe hit 2 or 3 more spots that maybe weren't as productive. And somebody on the boat, my dad or somebody, would say, hey, why don't we go back to the first spot, Ernie? And he'd go, oh, okay. And then you'd never see that first spot again. He still did what he wanted, and
Yeah.
he wouldn't. He was just as cool as could be, and a great guy. I was happy to be able to spend some time with him.
Yeah, he was quite a man. Yeah, he was.
And you fished down there plenty, right?
Well, I
Key
did.
West?
I did some. I wish I'd have done more, but yeah, what a beautiful place. We used to think that was the greatest fishing in the world.
Well, and I remember the first time I went down there. When I went to his house, I remember Shell Roads in Key West.
Yeah.
Kind of right near where he lived. It was totally different than what I see now.
Oh man, he had like 11 kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had tennis players, guitar players, and bands. He had the whole everything covered.
They're still down there, right?
I think one of them is. I think Robert is not the youngest, second youngest. He's cleaning boats. He's the one that played the music, but
guitar player.
it's hard for those people to stay in Key West, and it's hard for them to leave because it's no place like it. They can't wait to get out of there because they're so bored with doing nothing but fishing.
Yeah.
And they get out, and nothing really applies to doing what Key West is like.
Yeah, it's
But
hard to live in Key West and go somewhere and be civilized after that.
Yeah,
right?
and then the money it costs now to live down there. You know,
Yeah.
it takes an arm and a leg to be able to live
And back
there.
then, it really wasn't like that. You know, Key West might have been a little more money than everywhere else, but, you know, once you got to the outskirts, it wasn't that bad. There was plenty of small hotels and all that. That as a family, we used to go down there and vacation all the time.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, your dad loved it. He'd go there 2 or 3 times a year, maybe 4.
Every time Ernie was said the dolphin or whatever it was they'd go after, whatever he wanted to fish, he'd go down there 2 or 3 times a year. And
Well, your dad was in the Navy, wasn't he?
no, National Guard.
And I think Ernie was so calm. Your dad was so cool in the water. They really got along pretty good.
Well,
Ernie didn't say much, but what he said you could believe in.
Well, you know, even my dad, as much as he fished back in the day, and that's what I suggest to people now, and since I've sold my boat, I believe it more than I ever have. Go with a guide. If you can't fish a couple times a week, it's tough to own a big boat and expect to go offshore and catch fish. You have to be tuned into it. It's not the easiest thing to know where those grouper are. I'm going to have some grouper fishermen in here, some of my buddies that I fish with. Mark Feewox will be on one of these, and we'll be talking about fishing. But it's so much easier to hire that guide, step on and step off. We got a big trip planned on Thursday. You get 4 guys. They all pitch in for the fuel. It's buddies of mine, and we're ready to go. But, you know, when I go to Louisiana now, I end up spending less money splitting it up than taking my own boat. And when you're there hiring somebody, it's step on, step off. You can enjoy your friends, and instead of being behind the wheel worried about something that breaks or where are we going to fish next, and just trying to produce fish. But I appreciate you coming out today, Tracy, and I've enjoyed fishing with you. You're great because you're just so easy to mess with, and you take it good. You know, sometimes I can get a little bit of blood out of you, and you don't go irate and crazy on me. And
That's what really makes him happy. If he sees blood, he's really content with that.
that's what he told somebody one time. He said, you know, he likes messing with people, and he may poke you, and it may hurt. And he says, but if he sees blood, you'll see him smile.
Yeah, he loves that.
He'll laugh. Not real bad. I think y'all got to see some firecrackers I threw at you and blew the skin off
Yeah,
your
you
leg.
blew me up. I still got a mark on my leg from that. What's up with that?
That was great. It was just the first couple layers. Wasn't real bad.
I think he's kind of surprised at how much I will take, and I don't know how much more I could take, but he blew me up. It kind of stung a little bit.
Maybe when you hit your limit, we'll have a video camera rolling.
Still
How
think
about
it was
that?
funny when you gave that guy them hot ball bearings to hold, one of your guys that worked here that really wasn't
Now,
as
how
tough.
did I hand somebody hot ball bearings in my own hand?
He sat there for a little bit with a lighter warming this stuff up, and one of his employees come up with a pink hat on. I'm not going to say who he was, but he wasn't the toughest guy I've ever seen work here. and Mike hands him the ball bearings, and he's holding them like he should for Mike, and it doesn't take but a 3 or 4 second delay before hot things catch your hand. And by the time he realized he was hot, he was burnt, and he got loud, and Mike starts apologizing, hollering, "I didn't do that on purpose. I didn't do that on purpose.
Don't
I didn't do
believe
that
all
on
this
purpose."
stuff.
You know, to see Mike get nervous like that's really rare, but yeah, he did maybe took it a little too far that time.
It's called liability.
And the guy finally got quiet, and I was glad he did, but I started laughing when I was thinking about it. I think I laughed at you more trying to deny it was hot, that you did it on
I
purpose.
didn't know it was hot.
You didn't know you were going to
I
catch him.
didn't know that was hot.
He
I just
did
had a
that.
torch on it for
He
5
held it
minutes.
just like that. And
It's kind of delayed when things are hot. You'll hold them for a second, then you get rid of them, and then it continues to burn.
if it wasn't for being his employee, I'm sure he'd still be laughing at it. But he got real serious about that. I did not do it.
Funny. Great time, Tracy. I appreciate you coming out today, and hope to do it again sometime.
Some Sprite.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yes, sir, Mike.